Marjorie Taylor Greene goes on to Hannity to explain her idea of having a national divorce of the red states and the blue states becoming their own nations, which wouldn't even really be possible with the way the red states and blue states are kind of spread out and separated, and the fact that the red states, they really don't make a whole lot of money. Um, in comparison to the blue states, where the blue states are more taxed and give more money to the federal government, where the blue states receive more money. So if this were to actually happen, the red states would fail.
All right, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene made waves over the holiday weekend with this tweet calling for a national divorce. After facing backlash from Democrats and some Republicans, Greene followed up with a detailed thread explaining why she thinks this is a good idea. Greene is saying that a national divorce would empower individual states to form a smaller government, reduce the federal debt, set their own environmental standards, and the Congresswoman has another idea as well, banning people who move from blue states to red states from voting for 5 years so they don't bring their bad politics with them.
Okay, so banning people from voting for 5 years that move from a blue state. What about, conservatives that live in a blue state moving to a red state? They wouldn't be able to vote for 5 years? That's pretty wild.
I actually favor that idea. Anyway, here with more is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I read this and then I read your comments on it. I think most people instinctively want this to be the United States of America. And here's my question. How did you get to this point? I mean, I look at topics. For example, how do you reconcile defund the police and no bail laws with law and order? How do you reconcile secure borders and wide open borders? How do you reconcile energy independence with energy dependence and new Green Dealism? How do you reconcile peace through strength with people that want to gut our defense? I don't see middle ground on a lot of these issues. So what is the other answer if it's not a divorce?
Well, exactly, Sean. That's the problem and where we are today. And in my life, in my world, all of my friends are regular Americans. Everyone I talk to is sick and tired and fed up of being bullied by the left, abused by the left, and disrespected by the left.
Okay, this is hilarious. The left is bullying, abusing, and disrespecting the right. Well, I mean, if you weren't Nazis looking to genocide people, maybe that wouldn't happen, but it's actually not even happening whatsoever. Like, speaking out against right-wing BS and, extremism isn't, bullying or abusing the right whatsoever. It's just calling them what they are. She's a Nazi, and if she thinks that's abuse, well, then so be it.
And our ideas, our policies, our ways of life have become so far apart that it's just coming to that point. And the last thing I ever want to see in America is a civil war. No one wants that. At least everyone I know would never.
Okay, you don't want a civil war, but you're calling for a civil war because the only way for the states to break up into two different nations if there's a civil war, because that's just what has law that has been the precedent that has been passed down is that the only way for a new state or nation to be formed is either through a war or if the federal government and the states all decide for that to happen, and that is not going to happen in this case. So the only way it's going to happen is a civil war. So she is calling for a civil war, even though she's lying about it.
Ever want that, but it's going that direction, and we have to do something about it. We're also a nation, a crumbling nation. We're a nation in distress. Our government is in complete failure, over $34 trillion. We are on the verge of default, and we have to do something about that. But that was the right and the left that did that to the American people on their own. But the Democrats never stop pushing their policies, their ideas, and their culture on Republicans and the right.
Okay, but that's what the right does as well, push their ideas and ideology onto the left, like their idea that trans people are bad, so we should exterminate them with various policies. So, I mean, and in the case of the left, they actually want to push good policies that benefit people, while the right try to push policies that only benefit a certain group of people.
And we are so sick and tired of it. We are tired of our children being taught ideas and ideologies in school that we do not want our children taught, like gender lies. We do not want our children having their gender changed or transitioned. We can't even have women's sports and privacy in our bathrooms, and women in prison can't even have spaces. ESG, environmental social governance, has completely taken over corporations, and this is a huge policy pressed on private businesses through the government from Democrats. If you're a white male today in the financial industry, you can forget it. You're a dinosaur. You're going extinct.
That's hilarious. White males are going extinct in the business industry. Whatever.
No one should ever be hired by their skin color or their gender or
Marjorie,
how they
let me ask you
identify.
this.
It should only be about your character and your ability to do the job.
What do you say?
Yeah, but right wingers don't care about hiring people. Well, right wingers are all about hiring people based on their skin tone and politics. Uh, they may claim to not be, but they are, which is why they're against like um, uh, affirmate I forgot, but having to require um, hiring a certain number of POCs and stuff, they hate that because it prevents them from being able to hire just a bunch of white people.
Media critics that say that our country's governed by our Constitution. You swore an oath to defend it. Is there any way that America, in spite of our differences, are we at a point where, okay, you either win an election and your side is up to bat, or you lose an election and their agenda gets pushed forward? Or do you actually think there will be a growing movement towards this because the divide is so deep?
I actually think this is a much bigger movement than most people in Washington even realize. And you can take a look at the tweets that I made just yesterday. The amount of likes and retweets that those tweets got should tell people a lot. And they're just not aware of it yet because they don't talk to regular people.
I actually don't know how many retweets and likes that her comment got, but the fact that she's not the only one actually calling for some kind of civil war. There's been many other Republicans that have hinted in some way of a civil war. So Republicans are trying to put in the idea into the base that there needs to be some kind of civil war in order to put society back the way that right-wingers want it to be.
You see, this isn't ending our union. This is shrinking the federal government, which we need to stop our spending. Our spending is out of control. We can abolish departments and different parts of our federal government and give states more power and control to conduct their affairs and their laws that fit the people that live in those states. This is more respectful towards all Americans, and it could end the fighting, and hopefully we can respect each other once again.
And do you expect it'll happen? Last question.
Well, I think it's something that we should work towards because, you know, it's kind of the vision that our founding fathers had for America. And I think it's a great one. It worked in the beginning. We just got it completely out of control. So I hope we can get there.
Wait, that's something that I don't even care what she's supposed to even mean about that. But it's not like she even knows truly what the founders wanted. Like, nobody can know because they're dead. So we can't talk to them. The only thing we know is like what they wrote and then assume what they meant by all that. But anyways, who truly cares what some dead people think or wanted?